If your parent or spouse has entered a nursing home recently and you're thinking about qualifying for nursing home Medicaid benefits, then you need to know what the asset limits are that you're going to run up against. So, a lot of people start the Medicaid process without realizing all the rules that go along with it, and they're very precise rules, and they have to be followed exactly, or you get denied. And when you get denied, you lose at least 1 month of coverage or more until you fix it. And 1 month of coverage or more could easily be over thousands of dollars a month, depending on the person's income. So it's kind of a big decision, and you need to know what you're doing before you do it. So we're going to talk about the asset limit in Texas in 2024 today, because that's what our viewers need to know about for their parent or loved ones. So, for an unmarried person in Texas applying for nursing home Medicaid, you're looking at a $2,000 asset limit, and that's counted assets only. It doesn't cover non counted or exempt assets, which we're not going to get into the details here, but we'll get into them in a different video. But so, just for counted assets, things like bank accounts and other liquid assets, cash surrender values of life insurance, retirement accounts in many cases. Um, that's a $2,000 limit. If they're over $2,000, they're not going to be eligible for Medicaid. So how this works out is um, if you're planning on them being Medicaid eligible for May 1st, and on April 30th, their bank account balance is still $2,200, and you move from April 30th to May 1st, and it was still $2,200, and you didn't have any uncleared checks or anything like that that were already in the works, they're not eligible for all of May. So because they were $200 over the asset limit of $2,000 on May 1st, they are not eligible for Medicaid benefits for the entire month of May. And that could easily be $5,000 worth of benefits or even more, depending on the details. So that's why you really need to know all the rules you're working with, because a simple $200 mistake like that could end up costing $5,000 or more. So that's for an unmarried person. For a married couple, it gets a little bit more complicated, and we're going to spend a little bit more time on it. So a married couple, they don't have a $2,000 asset limit. They have an asset limit of around $32,000, which is the minimum, and $100,000 in change, which is the maximum. Now, the way a married couple works is they divide their assets in half. But the mistake a lot of people make is they see the maximum and think the maximum applies in every case when the maximum doesn't. The rule is it's half of their assets. So with a maximum asset limit of $100,000, just for discussion purposes, many people would think, well, my parents only have $80,000 or even $90,000, and the asset limit is over $100,000, so they're not going to have to spend down anything. They're not going to lose anything. They can get Medicaid right away, and there's not going to be any problems. And that would be wrong, and that would be a very expensive mistake for you to find out about. So, with a case where a married couple has $80,000 or $90,000, their asset limit, like I said, is half. So, with $80,000, it would be $40,000 in assets. And the healthy spouse at home would be able to keep those $40,000, but this nursing home spouse would not be able to keep those $40,000, because the spouse in the nursing home has a $2,000 asset limit, not a $40,000 asset limit. So you're looking at a spend down there of $38,000 for a married couple with just under $100,000. Um, so that's the key thing to remember with the maximum asset limit for Texas nursing home Medicaid is it's a maximum above that. It's not a maximum below that, if that makes sense. So where the $100,000 asset limit would come into play is, let's say they have $300,000 in assets as a married couple. Well, the maximum, so if you divide half that, that's $150,000 each, right? Well, the maximum limits that because that's the cap. Um, It's not a guaranteed amount, it's the maximum amount. So where without that cap, they would be able to keep $150,000 for the healthy spouse at home. Because of that cap, the healthy spouse can actually keep just over $100,000. The rest of it gets attributed to the spouse in the nursing home, which just increases the amount of the spend down, if you follow me so far. So you need to keep that in mind with the maximum and how being under or above that maximum plays out, because over $50,000 up to $100,000 and even beyond that, you're looking at half of your assets going down in a spend down if you don't do anything to stop it. Now, the good news, as we discuss everywhere else, is that for married couples and even unmarried couples, there's a lot of proven, dependable legal strategies that you can take advantage of to stop that spend down or minimize that spend down and get nursing home Medicaid in Texas sooner than you might think. So those are the asset limits you're dealing with. If you want to create Medicaid eligibility sooner, you can. You just got to take the right steps to do so. It's not something that happens automatically. And if you want to find out more about that process and what some other families have done and what you might be able to do, we encourage you to visit us at texastitle19.com and see what you can do. Again, that's texastitle19.com, and you can stop the spend down today.